Hi, everybody. This is Christina Osborne of the Property VA. Today, I'm going to share with you the easy free tool that my team of lead generation VAs and myself use to build a pipeline of prospects for our clients to help them find commercial to residential property deals, or as we know it, C2R property deals. Today, I'm not going to share with you anything about mindset. I'm not teaching any mindset concepts at all in this webinar. Instead, I'm just going to show you what buttons to push, the exact steps that my team of lead generation, property VAs, and myself do for our clients. We all know that right now the market is just too hot. How many of you have said in the past 6 months or so that it's just crazy? It's impossible to buy anything. There's too much competition. The prices are just skyrocketing. The numbers no longer work. It's the deals are no longer stacking, and that's why most of you are getting on the small property development projects, starting off with small C2R projects and making use of the PDR, permitted development rights, right now as opportunities to still get into property without having to deal with all this crazy hot market right now. For myself, I do land acquisitions, and starting with our first new build project this year, primarily because how I see it is that we're not asking for discounts when we go BMV as a property investment strategy. Instead, what we're doing is we're wanting to add value. We're building value rather than pushing prices down and fighting for scraps and fighting for discounts. As you might know, which is probably why you're interested in C2R property development as a strategy, is that where other people are fighting for discounts, you're not interested in getting a discount. You're interested in adding value. So a little bit about me. I run the Property VA. I do lead generation and marketing on a daily basis. This is what we do day in, day out for our clients. Predominantly, we do lead generation using data scraping techniques for finding opportunities online. Almost all of them are using free resources, and we share our strategies with our clients. We show them how we do the lead generation strategies, and we show them that they don't need to subscribe to any expensive platforms and services out there such as Nimbus. We just simply find these opportunities using a variety of data scraping techniques that we find online. And I'm sharing one of them with you today. Also, I am a property investor myself. I have a small portfolios of buy-to-lets in Sheffield. However, my husband and I, since November of last year, we've now gone into land acquisitions and doing our first new build project this year. What sort of properties might we be able to find for you? This one has just come in yesterday. This was an inquiry from one of the direct-to-vendor mailing campaigns that we did for a client. It's a B1 class office premise, asking for 800,000. Of course, because this is just an inquiry from yesterday, this is not the correct figure just yet. This could still change. That's what I'm trying to say. The potential, as far as we can see right now, is for 6 flats. Sorry about the typo there. Roughly 200 to 210K each. Yes, so this is the conversation of my client just an hour or so ago. They are now viewing the property on Monday. Other properties that we might find for you are properties like this 4-story office building for a 12-unit conversion subject to planning, and a warehouse, which is light industrial, for 6 units of detached new builds. So, what is this free tool that I am going to share with you? Remember, this is you don't need to sign up for any expensive software platform such as Nimbus and Land Insights and ProMaps. All it is that for someone who's trying to do C2R, that's commercial to residential property deals, the thing that is working for you is the fact that there's this really fantastic free tool online that you can access today. And you probably already know this tool, but please bear with me because I do want to show you something that you may not know about this website, okay? So don't dismiss it just because you already are using this tool. So I'm just going to show it to you shortly. Okay, so you're wanting to do commercial to residential. I just want to say that because you're looking for commercial to residential as a property investment strategies, what you're really looking for is not properties. Don't go and find properties. What you're looking for are businesses. So that is to say, yes, you can go on Rightmove, you can go on Zoopla, you can call estate agents to go look for shops and uppers. But the thing is, what you're seeing out there is just a very, very small proportion of many other businesses that you can prospect and campaign to. As a investment strategy, the beauty about C2R is that you can do cold campaigning to a variety of businesses that might be operating in freehold premises. Okay. So yes, the free tool that I'm talking about is nothing other than Companies House. So you've probably used Companies House before to search, to search your own limited company or someone else's limited company. But we can use Companies House to search for potential C2R property deals. And why is this the case? It's because any limited company, when any business wants to form a limited company with a Companies House, they have to declare what type of business activity they are operating in. And they do this by selecting a SIC code, SIC code, to identify what their business activity is. So we can, in fact, go to Companies House and type in a SIC code, and then we will be able to see all the search results of businesses that have registered themselves using this SIC code. Now, here's the thing. If you do that, if you search by SIC code, you cannot search by area. That is to say, if you're solely investing in, let's say, Bolton, if you type in a SIC code for, as an example, garden centers, well, Companies House will show you all the SIC codes all across England, which is not going to help you if you're only wanting to farm and mine your local investment area. However, if we then type in by area, we can't actually then filter the search results on Companies House by the SIC code, because especially if you're wanting to prospect to a particular business activity or business, let's say hotels or pubs, for example. So how do we do a smarter way of searching company's house wherein we can identify the SIC code as well as the area all in one go? And this is the tool that I'm going to share with you today. So I'm just going to exit this slide for a second. So I've just exited the slides for a second, and I wanted to show you this website. Now, this is Company's House. However, it is not a link that that is visible on their main Company's House webpage. But if I'm going to copy this link and share it in the chat box shortly so that everyone has a copy of this link. But if you go to this website, this page of Company's House, you can then choose any of these links to download a massive data dump of all the limited companies registered with Company's House as of last update. So this one was last updated on the 1st of May 2021. So you do have to come back and revisit this often, especially as some businesses might have closed down, or new businesses might have registered since you last visited this website. Now, the files are incredibly large. They will most likely slow down your computer a lot. So I'm not actually going to show you today I'm not going to download the file for you today. I've already downloaded one and prepared one just for this webinar. But I do not recommend that you click on this link. And instead, I recommend that you click on these separate portions of the data as one file. Okay, so these are 6 separate smaller files. Even the smaller files are actually still very massive. It will still slow your computer down, but not as much as the one zip file. Okay, so once you download that, it will look something like this file. Okay, now this is, just scroll to the right. This is where you get to see the SIC code. It's column AA. Now, I've already deleted all the other rows within this file that is not the SIC code 45200. Okay, if you scroll down here, all of this is 45200. And just within this one SIC code, I've got almost 8,000 entries. Granted, I haven't filtered out all the companies that are outside the area I'm investing in, or my clients investing in. But it just goes to show you how many potentially you can campaign to just using the one SIC code. How do we find SIC codes? And that's the next thing I'm going to show you. If you Google SIC code, you will see a variety of websites, including one that's just like this, sicco.co.uk. You can type in any sort of business activity, and then it will show you what the SIC code number is, and that's what you can use later on as a filter. Okay, so for example, if we want to look for care homes, we can see here a variety of SIC codes. It's not just the one SIC code that you'll get. So you'll get something like this one, which is 87100, 87300. You do read the description just to make sure that it is what you think of when you're typing in the search term care homes. 87900, convalescent homes. That sounds like a potential property there. 87-200, residential care, social in psychiatric convalescent homes. That definitely can be a potential property. So there seems to be 1, 2, 3, 4, probably even 5, 87-100. Okay. Now, obviously, motorhomes, that no longer is the business activity that you're looking for. So just do read the very short description to help you identify the correct SIC codes. So the thing to do next is just take note of all these SIC codes and simply go back to your data dump file and click on data, sort data. Sort data, and you select column AA. Here we go. Oh, there it is. So once we sort all of this data by column A, we can then proceed to delete all the rows that are not of the SIC code that you're looking for. So you're only looking for SIC code. If it was care homes that you're looking for, then the SIC code 87-100, 87-2, 87-3, and 87-900, I believe it was. So once you sort the data by the SIC code column, you can proceed to sort the data by, let's move that away. You can proceed to sort the data by area, which is either column G or column H, or maybe you can even sort it by postcode, which is column J. Other filters that you might want to use in order to delete unnecessary rows of addresses, you might even use filters such as, let's scroll this, incorporation date, for example. The trouble is, however, the date seems to be arranged not by year, so this may not be very helpful. But maybe company status. Do you only want to campaign to active companies? There's other status such as, I'm not so sure, I may have already deleted them, but some of them might be dissolved or inactive, for example. So you might want to delete those rows as well. Do you want only to prospect to limited companies that have been fully audited, for example? Another great tool is actually to search for the number of mortgage charges on the property. It could be helpful to select those with freehold ownership, and also could be helpful with potentially identifying directors who may be distressed in that they have too many charges or mortgages to service. Okay. So that's essentially what the free tool is that I wanted to share with you today. I just want to run through the exact steps again, as well as best practices to help you with using this tool as a data scraping lead generation strategy. So just to recap the exact steps, go to this website and download the 6-part data dump zip files. Yes, warning, file size will be very heavy, but once loaded, you can sort files by column AA, which is the SIC code column. Delete all the rows that are not your selected SIC codes, and then you can proceed to sort the file by any other filter, such as area, incorporation date, activity, etc. Finally, delete unnecessary rows as required, and then you must save this as a new copy unless you want to go through the whole process of downloading the heavy files all over again. And just repeat with the other 5 files once you're done with the first of the 6 files. Again, warning, it is a heavy file. Just in downloading one of the files of the 6 data dump files will get you as much as 600, well, close to 700,000 entries on the one file. Best practice, use the sort by function of your spreadsheet program, whether you use Excel, Open Office, use Google Sheets, Microsoft, all of them should have a sort by function. That will help you to group all the identified SIC codes together so that you can easily delete hundreds and thousands of rows that you won't be interested in. Okay. Always keep the original file and save a new copy for each individual SIC code or goldmine area you're farming in. So for example, you can name this file as 87100, or you can name it as care homes search. Okay. Or you can even name it as, let's say, care homes Brighton versus care homes Eastbourne, for example. Okay. Always save as CSV files. Some Excel file extensions have a maximum number of rows that usually end at 10,000, row 10,000. Anything beyond 10,000 gets deleted, whether you like it or not, whether you choose to or not. Okay. Right, just to talk about limitations of this strategy, it is not the only way to find C2R property deals. There are other ways of marketing. This is just one of the easiest free tool out there that you can use with very little training. Other limitations, it is cold prospecting. Okay, you are contacting business owners who, for the most part, are probably not thinking about selling their business. Okay, you might be able to select a few businesses that might have been impacted by the pandemic and the various lockdowns that we went through. You could start with that. But there's no telling. Okay, it's still cold prospecting. And then different areas, different types of business activities versus building property type. And in your area, let's say you could find bingo halls that operate in a freehold building, whereas in another area, their bingo halls or their bingo centers is inside a shopping mall, for example. So that's not the kind of that's not the kind of business that you might want to prospect to. Okay, so you should know your area, drive around, see what kinds of businesses are out there that seem to operate in freehold buildings. And that's the SIC code that you should select for your area. Okay, another thing to note is that some of these businesses are even when they operate in a standalone building, they may not be the freehold title owners. They may only be operating in that building on a commercial lease or on a long lease. So sometimes there's no telling unless you want to pay the £3 per land registry title search. But for the most part, we want to be prospecting in volume, so we don't want to exhaust our marketing budget paying £3 for land registry title searches, unless you opt to do that because you feel that it's an investment and not an expense. Finally, just a very important note, PDR rules might change. So what might be permitted today might not be permitted in a year's time, 5 years' time. Similarly, what might not be permitted today might be permitted in a year, 2 years' time. Okay, so do just check on the latest PDR rules. Just to cover costs, when you use this as a lead generation strategy, even though the tool itself is free, there's still costs involved, and that would be the cost of sending letters to prospect to these business owners. I recommend that you do 50 letters a week. That's roughly 200 letters a month. And if you're sending out if you're using remote mailing platforms such as Stamp or Dot Mailer to send these letters, the cost to you is 55p plus VAT per letter. And this amounts to roughly around £200 plus VAT per month in marketing costs if you're sending out roughly 200 letters a month. There's no telling what the conversion rates are, and what kind of responses you'll get or the timescales. But I do recommend that it's do at least at the very minimum 3 to 6 months campaigning. Ourselves, it takes us about, sometimes we get clients that in the first month of campaigning, they get inquiries coming in. However, I want to manage everyone's expectations and to expect that usually it takes much longer. So anywhere between 3 to 6 months as a minimum for campaigning to get your pipeline growing and building. Okay, what about in comparison with other direct to vendor marketing strategies? Well, you can do Facebook ads, and that's very expensive as a marketing activity. Leafletting, it does work for finding rental properties. I am not too sure it works for commercial to residential. LinkedIn is a good marketing strategy for finding business owners. It is time consuming unless you're using automated software, in which case it's no longer free. So it's your time versus the cost of the software. Some softwares cost, I think, it depends on what brand you're using, but they're roughly around 200 to 250 pounds a month. Print ads, you can definitely do this. I have no advice on how you should do the print ads. Others, you can do Google advertising. You can use property sourcers as well. So this is just to give you an idea in terms of comparing this free data scraping strategy versus other direct to vendor marketing strategies. I would recommend that you use as many lead funnels as you possibly can with whatever budget or resources that you have. Okay, so you're probably asking right now, Christina, why are you sharing this? What exactly are you selling? Are you going to sell anything to us today? And yes, I am going to sell something to you today. I did describe it or mention it in the event description. But why am I sharing this strategy with you? The reason is I want you to try it for yourself. I want you to see how long it takes you to data scrape 10 addresses, 100 addresses. Remember, we're meant to be campaigning in volumes because this is cold prospecting. Okay, so excuse me. What am I selling? I'm selling exactly what is showing in this picture. Okay, I'm selling time. A lot of you are time poor property investors. You might be full-time property investors. You might be juggling another job or career at the same time. And really you're probably frustrated at the number of campaigns that you can on your own complete and send out, not to mention campaigns that you need to follow up and pursue. And this is precisely what my clients pay me and my team for. My clients pay us to leverage our time, systems, and strategies. It's just like what this picture shows. It's all about what you want to exchange in your life right now, okay? Are you minding time, or are you minding your budget or your money? For a lot of investors, it's time that's more scarce as a resource, because a lot of you are time poor. Okay. So I just want to talk about the other costs, and I call these the real costs of doing lead generation yourself. So think about per address how long that's going to take you. Okay. Whereas using the data dump from company's house will shave a lot of time, you still need to scrape within that data file the addresses that you're looking for. You still have to go visit, use then the limited company or registered limited company name to then find the details of the directors. So I think optimistically, you're looking at 5 minutes per address. And remember, you need to campaign at the minimum of around 50 a week. So how much is that per month? Are you wanting to data scrape 100 addresses, 200? Just with a one SIC code, we were looking at in the hundreds, maybe 400 addresses within that one SIC code. Are you looking at 4 hours a week, 16, 20 hours of your time? And at what hourly rate would you like to be paid at? Do you want to be paid £10 an hour, £100 an hour, or £1,000 an hour? My VAs get paid at £3 an hour, and this is a decent hourly rate for them. Could you find someone cheaper? Or do you want to be paid £3 an hour versus £1,000 an hour? So it's all about how you spend your time, where you spend your time doing the business activities that will bring you success in your property goals. I really do like this slide, and it encapsulates what I'm trying to sell and the message that I want to send across to you. Time definitely is money, and some like to save money by spending time, whereas others are smarter in understanding that because time is a finite resource, could there be better ways of using their time to bring in money than saving themselves the cost of paying someone to do it for £3 an hour? Okay, so this is what I'm selling to you guys. What I'm offering is a monthly lead generation subscription service. It starts from £100 a month. Approximately, we will data scrape 200 to 400 addresses for you. We will be limited by your own marketing budget. So the subscription fees cover our time, but not the marketing costs. So the cost of the letters, that will be separate, okay? But we will prepare the direct-to-vendor marketing campaigns for you. There's no need to hire a virtual assistant. So you don't need to onboard, look after, supervise, and train a VA. I will be your main contact in terms of your investment strategies, your investment area. So you speak to me and I deal with my team of lead generation VAs. You get to leverage our time, systems, and templates so that you don't have to, not only do you not have to do it yourselves, but you don't have to remember the addresses that you sent letters to, what letter template you used, what was the strategy that we used to find these addresses for you. All that is outsourced to the property VA. Okay, just some few notes to discuss. I can only work with one client per area because I cannot have two clients compete for the same pool of addresses. Marketing costs, as mentioned, they're not included. So if you have a budget of sending out letters worth £200 plus VAT a month, and that's your maximum, we will work with that. We do have to make you aware that because we send out follow-up letters, your marketing budget will increase on a monthly basis. So if it is possible, we'd like you to start small as you can, and to build up to whatever your maximum marketing budget is. Okay, these next, the subscription costs does include the use of our call center inquiry line. It does not include sourcing and sales negotiations, because we are not a sourcing service provider. There is a minimum of 3 months. We feel this is the minimum amount of time wherein we can help build momentum for you in your marketing activities. And I'll just walk through the package inclusions shortly. But first, the subscription pricing and packages. So the minimum is 3 months. And if you subscribe for 3 months, the cost is £150 a month for the monthly fee. If you subscribe with us for 6 months, it's 125. A 12-month subscription is the cheapest at £100 a month. Again, because we can only work with one client, if you select, let's say, a 3-month subscription, at the end of your 3-month subscription, if you don't wish to continue, we might be taking on a new client to replace you in that area, and any new leads that we then data scrape will be assigned to the new client. In terms of inclusions, what do you get when you subscribe to us? We will look after prospecting for you. So prospecting services, which includes lead generation, data scraping, and pipeline building. You also get to outsource the campaigning services to us, direct mail marketing, text campaigns, postcard campaigns. Finally, you get to utilize and leverage our systemized pipeline building, where we keep track of who we campaign to on your behalf, where we found leads and when to follow up. Your pipeline building no longer needs to rely on your memory and your own possibly and likely stop and start approach to finding property deals. Just to talk about exclusions, the cost of all direct-to-vendor mailing and texting campaigns are not included in the monthly lead generation package. Just to give you an idea, letters cost roughly about 55p plus VAT each. If we do a texting campaign on your behalf, and we do this for clients who are looking for rental properties, we might text local tradesmen on their behalf, and it costs roughly 4p per 100 characters. And then we will send out the volume of letters that match your budget. Okay. Any direct-to-vendor mailing campaigns we prepare on your behalf, we do that as included. The service itself is included in the subscription fee. However, we will forward the invoice from the third-party suppliers to you. We do not put a markup on those costs. Okay. Finally, just to reiterate, we are not a sourcing company, so we don't handle sales and negotiations, and we won't package deals for you. As such, we won't charge sourcing fees. So if we find you a project that's 2 million, we don't get any share in that deal. So what we charge you for the monthly subscription fee is what you pay us, okay, regardless of the size of projects we send your way. Just to end on this note, time is what we want most and what we use worst. Now we move on to the Q&A. That's the end of my presentation, guys. I am happy to invite people to ask me questions. If you can unmute yourself, I think, but if you feel like there's some technical thing that only I can unmute you, let me know, okay? There's some questions here in the chat box, so I'm just gonna read them out, okay? That might be a private question. Okay, if we had some specific requirements, can we add that to our checklist? I.e., if we need some more parameters to be searched. Yes, I've got clients who only want to look for blocks of flats, or let's say pubs and hotels. That my only thing to say to manage your expectations is that we may not be able to campaign in the hundreds for you. If your parameters are very specific, that will limit the number of addresses that we can fill up for your pipeline that we can then campaign to. I hope that's answered your question. Who is this? Pamita. Okay. The business energy, business telecoms, digital. Yes, I think this is a question from Imran. Imran, are you referring to non-property side?
I was just asking because I like this thought of your service. It's going to save me and my team a lot of time. Now, obviously, some of these properties are in the C2R market. Some of them just need refurb or update, or some are just brand new. And I was actually looking for what companies were brand new set up in the last couple of months. That's why I came across that file, the Company's House download, earlier this week. And I actually did this exact exercise. And I was on the first file, 850,000 records on there, and it took me hours to find the SIC codes I'm targeting. I've got two businesses, and one of them does for startup businesses, business energy, business telecoms, and digital marketing services. And the other business is we provide wireless infrastructure and CCTV and door entry systems and so on for already established businesses and public sector. So I'm just thinking if I could use that it saves me scraping and find the right target market and then get to the right people and then just target them with the right marketing messages through whatever channel.
Sure.
Save me a lot of time. So I'm just wondering, your service, could it be adapted to other non-property,
Yeah. Funnily enough, you
mentioned as well, but
sure.
Yeah.
Funny enough, you mentioned that. I actually work with two clients in the non-property side. They're in business acquisitions, and because it's the same tool. It's just for a different purpose or a different exit, but it's the same data scraping exercise. So yes, that's the short answer to your question. If it's for business acquisitions, it's the exact same process that we use. There's other search functionalities as well when using this data dump from Company's House. You can actually also see when the companies were formed, if that's crucial to what you're looking for. I think Imran talked about new companies.
Incorporation date, that's what I searched by, and then I searched message. There's just so many records on there. It's unbelievable. It takes time, but there is so much data there.
Yes. Yeah, it's all about crawling through the data, because actually after you do that data dump, what you still need to do is go to the individual listings to get the details of the directors.
Then you'd have to go on Company's House to do that. That's what I found.
Yes.
So it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it saves time a little bit, but there's extra things involved, and that's when I say 5 minutes per address, that's being optimistic. You're looking at more like 10 minutes per address, really. So thank you, Imran, for your question. Let's move on to the next one. How do you cater for registered office addresses versus trading addresses? Okay, so we are going to have to use the information that is provided. We cannot distinguish whether we are contacting the person, the director at their home address or the business address or even a registered address. Okay, so we can only assume that they want to be contacted at the address that they're declaring publicly. So that's the best that we can do. If you want us to actually go onto land registry to then data scrape the actual owner's details and owner's address, we can do that for you. We won't charge extra to data scrape, but then the cost is on you to pay £3 per registry title. Okay, I hope that answers your question, Sanjay. And any other questions, guys, that you might want to ask? Okay, I'm going to assume that there's none. I think the process is really simple. Oh, sorry, there's another question here. Can the VA carry out other property management to assist rather than have another one? Okay, so what you're subscribing to is a lead generation service. If you do want a VA to do lead generation as well as other business tasks, like I said, come to me. I can find you a VA. I'll do this for free. What I will charge only if you sign up for it is I do weekly training sessions with the VAs from the Philippines. I teach them lead generation, and it's all implementation-based strategies, implementation-based training. So at the end of each training, they should be able to prepare a campaign for you, at the very least 50 letters a week. Okay. But that is optional. If you don't want the VA to do any lead generation training, you just want to find a VA, I'll help you find a VA for free.
Christina.
Yes.
You're a very, very honest person. Thank you. You have given a lot of valuable information. I didn't know all this, to be honest, and I've been in it for a long time. So, you know, I was thinking of having a VA from the Philippines, because everybody seems to have a VA from the Philippines. So it was something that, you know, if a lot of people are doing it, it's gotta be good. I'm not saying it works out every time, but I did have a lot of reservations, purely because, do I trust the person with my data? What will they do? You know, what happens if they start doing funny things on my systems and so forth? So there is that worry, and it's really nice to know that we have somebody like you, because I met you on LinkedIn, and it was really good for me, because I'm looking at this, so it happened at the right time, and that's why I'm asking this question, because I might need somebody to do a bit more for me, for my office, than just to do lead, even though lead generation is important. So that's the first thing I wanted to thank you, and give you a reason on that. There's the second thing is, obviously, once we find these leads, and we have what's the next step then, obviously, because that's the crux of it then, isn't it?
Okay, I think your question might be similar to Diana's. What's the process that happens after you send out these marketing letters? Okay, so at this point, what we cover is the marketing activity. Okay, so anywhere from data scraping the addresses to preparing the letters, and then after your approval, we will send out the letters, and then it goes direct to vendors. So that's why we call it the DTV marketing campaign. If then they call back, we take the initial query, we just get the details from them, what property they're selling, what their situation is, what price they're looking to sell at, what price will work for them, etc. We then pass it over to you. You take over the sales process. So we cannot advise on things like GDV and planning. All of that has to be with your own team and your own chosen professionals in your area. So from the sales process onwards, exactly what you're going to negotiate and offer the vendor, that's going to be taken over by you. All we do is the pipeline building. So we build momentum, we contact, and we just forward any queries that are coming in. Okay. Does that answer your question, by the way? I'm not so sure. If it does, great. If it doesn't, just ask me follow-up questions. With Diana, okay, process is simple. Could you give more? Go on, Diana.
Yes, so basically, I understand the process. It's just I'm not sure which type of businesses, for which type of business this could be used. Could you give more examples? Like,
Sure.
for example, garden center was a good one. Any other possible example of businesses that have real estate? Yeah.
Okay, so like I said, just to manage expectations, I'm giving these lists maybe as a general idea, not to say that it will work for your own local area. Okay, so other businesses that you can contact could be specialist schools. There's daycare centers, there's nurseries, there's private medical clinics. There's quite a few hosts. I should probably have prepared myself with a list. I was just going to say that because I can't advise on specific business activities, I didn't prepare it. But give me a minute. I'm going to refer to my list of companies. What else is there? There's some cities in England, hairdressers are a good option. Not always. Some hairdressers are in, ground floor offices. That's a leasehold property. Whereas some hairdressers are in standalone buildings. Attorney offices, solicitors' offices are also good businesses to contact. Okay, I've got here a list of businesses. Okay, we've got accountants, solicitors, engineers, vocational rehabilitation. So that refers to either rehabilitation in terms of maybe substance abuse or maybe just rehabilitation with other mental help. Okay. Also vocational education. So these might be centers where they teach, let's say, carpentry, sewing, woodworking, pottery. That's another good sector to look at. Prep and nursery schools, other schools, dancing centers, sports centers, churches. They're also good. Sports education, architects. Sometimes architects work in detached properties. Sometimes they're in buildings, so I can never tell. That depends on your area. Clinics and headquarters of small retailers. Those are some of the suggested businesses that you can contact. Okay. Has that answered your question, Diana? There's
Yes, that's yes, thank you. It's just trying to figure out what businesses might have properties, to sell and targeting those. Yeah, that's a very good list. Thank you.
There's a resource that's available in some local councils that you can Google very quickly. And they're called brownfield sites. If you type in brownfield plus your area, let's say, I forget, what's your area again, Diana?
I'm in London, Charlton.
Okay, Charlton, for example.
Greenwich.
So you could type in brownfield sites in Greenwich, and you might be able to see a list, and they're usually in a downloadable spreadsheet format from your local council. The trouble with this is that a lot of property developers, especially the newer ones, they already access this on a monthly basis. So if you're happy to deal with competition, you think you can offer better, then by all means, you can do that as well. That's another free tool for everybody. I'm just not sharing it here because of the competition aspect. Okay. So yes, they're called brownfield sites.
Thank you. Great. Thank you.
Okay, before I forget, I did promise that I'll share the letter templates with everybody. So I'm going to attach the file in the chat box. Feel free to download and save that letter template and keep it. And like I said, if you want to, no, I am inviting everyone to try and do it themselves and just to see how long it actually takes. Here we go. Okay, the first letter is coming up. I used 2 letter templates to for DTV campaigns. Feel free to change the wordings as you please. That fits your own maybe tone of voice or your own business objectives. So yes, feel free to download it. It's in the chat box right now. Okay. I want to thank everybody for attending my webinar, and I hope this has been really helpful and useful. It's not the most groundbreaking resource out there or information. Like I said from the start, this isn't about mindset. This is just me showing you what buttons to press and letting you guys know that this is not what I'm selling. I'm selling time. That's what I'm selling. Okay. So strategies, templates, by all means, I'm sharing them with you. Time, that's the resource that is finite, and therefore you just have to leverage someone else's time to do it. Hi, Christina, can't see the file links. Okay. And has everyone been able to see the files for downloading, or is it not visible to everyone? Yes, I have downloaded. Thank you, Christina. Yes, I will send the replay. Most probably it will be through the chat messages on LinkedIn. Although LinkedIn says that I'm allowed to access your files as a mailing list. I don't send emails, so I don't think I'm gonna need it, but I will send the replays on LinkedIn messages. Great, you've downloaded. Thank you, Andrea. You can tell that I'm not doing this on a regular basis. Andrea's asking for my contact details. I am gonna paste that in the box, in the chat box. Okay, so here we go. Is the link on here or LinkedIn? Sorry, Sanjay, do you want to unmute yourself so you can ask me? Which link are you referring to?
Hi, Christina. Sorry. The link to the templates I was looking for.
It's not a link. So you might have to scroll up a bit now. If you look at the timestamp, that's 1:55 p.m. There's a couple of documents that I uploaded directly onto the chat box. You can download from there.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah, I'll give it a couple more minutes before I end the Zoom so that you can download. But feel free to leave the room once you've downloaded the files. And I hope to interact more with you guys soon on LinkedIn. Okay, so thank you so much, guys, for attending. I'll leave it for a couple more minutes so everyone can download the files.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you, Diana. Bye.
Thank you, Christina.
Thanks, Christina.
Thank you
Bye.
too. Bye.
So much. Bye.
Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
Bye.
Bye, Christina. I'll contact you on Facebook so I can give you a call, okay?
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Andrea. Bye.
Thank you. Sorry I was late today.
Oh, no, no worries at all. Sanjay, did you manage to download the files?
Zombie. Yeah,
Yeah,
obviously.
sorry, Christina. Yeah, I'm still looking for it, to be honest. I couldn't see it on the chat in the
Okay.
Zoom call.
What I'm going to do is